Hello, hi. Thanks for dropping by to listen in on another segment of Chats with Cath. With me, Cath. If topics on adulting and lifestyle interest you, welcome. I release weekly episodes every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central African Time. My episodes will be a mix between solo dialogues or interviews with guests. So drop by and have a chat. Welcome back, you guys. On today's episode, I will delve into a solo chat of some things I wish I knew in my 20s. I'm 32 years old and I've had 3 years to reflect back on a few things. Alrighty, you guys. So I'm just going to go through 25 things that I've compiled a list of that I wish I knew in my 20s. Maybe this is useful to you. Maybe it is not. Maybe this will be helpful for some of my younger listeners, but either way, take this with a grain of salt or take it with you and look back and reflect and write notes and see what you do with that information. Okay, the first thing I wish I knew in my 20s was what people think of you is none of your business. Guys, choose peace. Honestly speaking, other people's opinions of you or how they formulate what they think or believe about you is really got nothing to do with you. It has to do with them. It's their perception of them, but I guess it goes into the whole characteristics of when people show you who they are, believe them. And that is very true. Sometimes it's just best to always try your best, to put your best foot forward, or just be as authentic as you can with yourself of who you are. You don't have to pretend if you do not like someone at the first sight. You don't have to pretend and just go by skating through life trying to be a whole complete different human when you know who you are. Honestly, what people think of you is none of your business. Choose peace, move on, and keep it moving. The second thing I wish I knew was trust in your gut, you guys. I swear to God, it is never wrong. If something feels suspicious, or uncomfortable for you, go with your gut. Get yourself out of that situation or in that entire episode of drama that is about to unfold. Unsubscribe and just keep it moving. Trust your gut. Keep yourself safe. Make sure that you have your own best interest at heart to make sure that you are comfortable with what is currently happening. Do not ever think that your gut will do you wrong, because that is not it, you guys. It will never, ever, 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 as God is my witness, do you any wrong. It will always lead you to the right guiding light to make sure that you feel safe. The third thing I wish I knew in my 20s was it is so important and critical to focus on yourself and what you want, because it will impact you much, much later in life. An example of this that I can give from my own perspective is in my professional life and setting and everything. So I did a degree in accounting, and that was not my calling, you guys. I actually did not want to do that degree, but I kept through it. I powered through and I did it. However, I'm actually not practicing accounting. I mean, I can do it, but I'm not a practicing accountant. I'm actually in social media space and I quite enjoy what I do. And if you want to find out more about what I do, please hit me up on YouTube, on Instagram, and I'll be happy to tell you or even do an episode of what I do. Right. The fourth thing I wish I knew when I was in my 20s was to let things go. Guys, holding grudges is not good. It's like holding a rotten item in your own soul, in your own space, and just letting it fester and stink up your life. You don't need that, honestly speaking. Sage it out, choose peace, Forgive. I'm not saying forget. I'm just saying forgive, and do it for yourself, because your soul will be so grateful. Don't let unnecessary things, or things that are that could be where you can choose forgiveness. Don't let that take up mental real estate, because that's valuable real estate that could be taken into using for your own personal goals, interests, and things to better advance for yourself. Like, don't do it. The fifth thing that I knew, or the fifth thing I wish I knew in my 20s, was heartbreak is a hard lesson you need to learn, because it will determine how you treat others and how you allow others to treat you. So there are different forms of heartbreak. You can go through a romantic heartbreak. You can go through a friendship heartbreak. You can go through a familial heartbreak, or just heartbreak in general, in terms of like how you do and perceive your own life. An example of this would be, for example, for me, I had gone through pretty much all the heartbreaks I've just highlighted. So I've been in situations where I've lost family members. I've been in situations where things are not going the way I want at work. I've been in situations where I've lost friends. And hey, I've also been in situations where I've lost romantic interests and everything. And that is heartbreaking. But listen, it's a hard lesson to learn, but it's a necessary one to learn in life, because it definitely builds on your emotional maturity and also your empathy, I think, because you will be able to determine like how you want to be treated for yourself in the future. You could either be a petty labal, spiteful as fuck, and then let it like fester, and then you can be like the worst human that people had the displeasure of knowing. Or you can take the lesson and then take from that where you can grow for yourself on like how better you want to be treated, so that you can also treat a specific people in your life better and hopefully become a good human. So heartbreak is a necessary evil of life, honestly speaking. The sixth thing I wish I knew when I was 20 was you have every right to be selfish. And this is very telling, because I think that with different people, or depending on who you are and how you behave and like how you perceive life for yourself, is that at such a young age, we're always taught to share, consider others. I mean, for me, at least, that's how it was per se. However, I never learned that it was okay for me to be selfish, because being selfish was considered like a bad thing, especially like, by being borderline cruel. I'm not saying being cruel and being selfish and just like never think of others and just always think about yourself, me, 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 me. But it goes back into what I was discussing in last week's episode, where I was saying that your glass needs to be full enough for you to give a part of yourself to others, or whatever you want to put yourself into. And you cannot be empty. And with that, there's a selfishness to it. So it is okay to be selfish, but it's in a healthy way. I'm not saying be narcissistic and completely condescending. I'm just saying that it is okay to be selfish with your time, because then you would be able to build yourself up and give yourself more, so that you can give more of yourself to the world, others, relationships, whatever that may be. And then another thing I wish I knew, which is the seventh thing: people cannot tell you who you are and how you should be. So there's a difference between receiving feedback and criticism. And I think this is a tricky one to learn, especially if you are a person who is inclined to be people pleasing, or if you are a person who has been taught to be a people pleaser, and you take what people say to you to heart, and you think that that's who you are based on what other people are telling you, which is not the case at all, guys. You cannot let other people determine who you are. You have to define who you are. And they can give you feedback and say, hey, listen, you treated me badly. This is how I felt. That was not okay. You can take that and then learn from that and see how you want to interact with said person or said people in the future based on that feedback you've received. However, if people are just like, oh my God, I just think you're just horrible and everything, based on what? Where's your evidence? Where are the receipts? Okay? Like, you must not let other people dictate or determine who you are as a person, because that is spiritually, mentally, and emotionally draining. And honey, like I said in point number 2, you don't have the mental real estate for that. Be selfish with what you put in, because it will affect what you put out. The 8th thing that I wish I knew in my 20s was gaslighters are at every corner and every level to bring you down. Best thing or best advice I have learned, and it is something that has taken years for me to learn, was that the best way to deflect, is that the right word? The best way to manage gaslighters, it's best to show them that you heard what they said, but not make them feel like they have power in what they have said will impact how you will be. It is best to shock them, irritate them, and show them just how perfect your life is without their opinions. As I said before, you guys, you cannot let people dictate and determine like how you are and who you are as a person, because there are enemies of progress out there, agents of Satan, who are holding their breath, waiting for you to fail. Let them hold their breath, because they must suffocate on their own shock, because they should be focusing on themselves instead of focusing on bringing you down to their level so that you are also miserable. There's no need. Choose peace. There's no need for that. There's absolutely no need. The 9th thing I wish I knew when I was in my 20s is that it's okay for people to come and go from your life. This is also another hard life lesson that people do need to learn. Similar to heartbreak, people are there in your life for a reason. You have your family, you have your friends, you have colleagues, you have people you work with. Your life has a myriad of people who come and go into your life. And it is up to you to choose who can stay in it, and then also how you want them to impact and enrich your life, you know? And it's okay. And this goes back into the selfish thing, where you have to be cognizant of what is good for you and what's enriching for you, because then what you put out there will come back tenfold to you, you know, like karma. So the more good you put out there, the more good will come out for you. Or the more bad you put out there, the more bad will come out for you. It's the circle of life, you guys. Like, what goes around comes around. So whatever you decide to enrich for yourself, it will definitely show in how you treat others and how others will treat you in turn. Okay, the 10th thing that I wish I knew when I was in my 20s, your worth is not determined by the people around you, but by who you choose to be and the journey you want to take. Everybody's journey is completely different. nobody has the same journey at all. You're not supposed to be on the same journey as other people. You can have people with you on a specific journey. Like for instance, if you're married, you probably are on like a journey with your spouse or partner. If you are with friends, you're probably on a journey together, but it doesn't mean you're all going to end up in the same place. Everybody has their own direction that they're going, and you shouldn't have to follow other people's direction just because society dictates it, family dictates it, friends dictate it. No, you are living your life for you. You shouldn't be living your life for other people. One thing that I've also learned from that point is that I actually watched this in my favorite Christmas movie, which is The Holiday. I loved it. And one poignant thing that I learned was that you cannot be the best friend in your own life. You are the leading person in your life. Like, your life is a movie. What do you want the movie to be? Is it dramatic? Is it comedic? Is it a thriller? Whatever it may be. You cannot be the second best actor or actress or whatever it is. In that, you are the main person in this movie that you call your life. You have to always take that into consideration. Alrighty, going into the 11th thing that I wish I knew when I was 20. Showing emotion is not a sign of weakness. And I say this because I am that type of person who had to unlearn not being able to show emotion. And what I mean by that is that I would take criticisms from people and think that that's who I am. And then I would disagree internally, internalize it, and then not show how I feel or express how I feel because I had never learned that. And it is a very hard lesson to unlearn because it's almost like you have to switch like how you think and the ways you think, because you cannot be bottling things up and then not expecting it to come out somewhere, somehow, some way, because that always happens. And I've had instances where that has happened to me before, and it has never been pleasant at all. And it has been a journey that I've been taking with through life coaching, therapy, etc., to ensure that I am expressing my emotions in a healthy way, especially in a professional setting, in a personal setting, whatever it may be. But I'm always cognizant of acknowledging how I feel and then also finding better ways to approach and discuss my emotions so that, I'm not just bottling it up and then it just becomes a volcano of chaos and just leave a road of like destruction behind me. That's not my intention, and that's not how I want things to be. But that is something that I had to learn now, or I wish I knew someone taught me to do when I was 20. All right, going into the 12th thing. So I'm like halfway with this. Okay, the 12th thing that I wish I knew when I was 20 was you should be looking for your tribe of people, because being 20 is like the best decade ever of self-discovery, of adventure, of exploring, of like discovering what you want for your own life, in the future. So your tribe of people who are there to accept, embrace who you are, and not try mold you or form you into something that you are not, Like, these are people that enrich your life and make it better, challenge you, so that you can be the best version of yourself, right? So your tribe of people, so important. So, so, so important. Okay, going into the 13th thing that I wish I knew when I was 20. You must learn to respond than to react. What I mean by that is that we are in a society, or previously, we used to be in a society that would always react when something happens, or when someone says something, or when a situation happens. We would just be like jumping into action and not really taking the time to like sit, analyze, and see the best way forward and to respond. So it is so important, especially like when you are interacting with people, to learn how to respond than to react, because then, it determines their perception of you. But then going back into that, you don't want to be behaving in certain ways because people dictate you to. I am saying that it's good to have a rational, clear, conscious mind in how you interact with people, because then it will help you better navigate how you do things with them or speak to them. That's very important. And I think that's one of the most important things I can actually tell a 20-year-old. You must learn to respond than to react. I think this is the most important one of them all, because 20-year-olds these days, wow, life on the spice rack much. Too spicy. All right. The 14th thing that I wish I knew when I was 20 was that I should never, ever apologize for setting my own boundaries, because you are capable, and you know exactly what is comfortable to you and what is acceptable to you. And if people or things cross that boundary, obviously you're going to respond in a specific way. You don't want to be compromised. You don't want to be feeling awful or hurt or anything like that, because you've set your boundaries. And people, the gaslighters I mentioned up above or previously, who try to deter you from how you feel, or try minimize how you are, do not allow that. You must stay true to your boundaries. You should not apologize for setting them in the first place, because it's 100% justified. You should be comfortable with the people and things that you surround yourself with. So don't apologize for setting your boundaries. The 15th thing I wish I knew when I was 20 was being a student of life is a consistent journey. So school never ends, you guys. You're consistently learning, and there's never a time where you're not learning. So if you're not learning, I honestly think you're not growing. So it is just a way of life, the circle of life I was mentioning earlier. You're always continuously learning. All right. The 16th thing I wish I knew when I was 20 was no means no. Consent is everything, you guys. Trust me, as a Black female, I found myself in situations where I was compromised, and where my boundaries were being breached, and where I was being gaslit to make me feel like I was just crazy in my own head and I was just being irrational and unreasonable. No. Guys, stand by what you feel is right for you. It goes back into your gut feeling is 100% right all the time. It goes back into do not let people gaslight you. It goes back into your boundaries are everything. Do not apologize for setting them. All right. Going into the 17th thing I wish I knew when I was 20. This goes into like finding people you connect with, or finding humans that you can human with. I hope that makes sense. So finding humans you human with. People can be cruel. So do not feel discouraged or give up in finding your tribe of people or your life partner or human, whoever it is. It is okay. It is a journey. It is wonderful towards the end because it should be, wonderful towards the end. But finding humans you connect with is hard, but it's okay because it'll be worth it in the end. The 18th thing I wish I knew when I was 20 is there is nothing wrong with being alone. Guys, you learn so much about yourself when you are alone. And it's okay. I used to be so afraid to be by myself because I would be in my head too much, and I would consistently say that being in my head is a scary place. And sometimes it is. And it's okay to feel that way. But it's also good if you can acknowledge it and go there in a safe way, like go to therapy, go get a life coach, do activities, interact with people. But also remember that there's nothing wrong with doing things alone. Like, you learn more about yourself when you spend time with yourself. And that's on period. Okay, the 19th thing I wish I knew when I was 20. No one will ever think like you. Do not expect people to treat you the same. Like, people are not mind readers. If you are, wow, good on you. But generally speaking, nobody ever thinks like you. The way you think, that's the way you think. However, communication is key. Because you can't expect people to know how you think, and you can't force people to think the way you think. That's so important. Everybody is unique and different in their own way. So you must be cognizant of that and also be empathetic towards that, because you cannot force things upon people just because you think that is right. I mean, look at the mess that we call this world. Look at what's happened in history previously because of people trying to force people to be or behave or think in a certain way. Disaster. Nobody is the same. And if you embrace that and you respect that, the easier it will be for you to communicate and, see both sides of the story. Okay, we're almost towards the end, everybody. Okay. The 20th thing I wish I knew when I was 20. The 20th. Rejection is the circle of life. You're going to be rejected in all facets of your life. And that is an opportunity to learn, because then you can see, okay, because I was rejected for whatever it may be, it gives you the chance to see things in a different light, to see what you can do differently, or to let things go. It's okay. Some rejection is not nice, but it is a useful tool to ensure that you as a person are growing. Right, going into the 21st thing I wish I knew when I was 20. Do not compromise on what you want, you guys. Do not settle. You will be unhappy if you settle because you felt that you had to, or you were told you had to. Do not settle. If it's not quite there yet for you, then it's not ready for you. Okay? Do not settle. Go for what you want. Say what you need to say to get what you want. But do not compromise, because it will just make you unhappy. And nobody wants to be unhappy. The 22nd thing I wish I knew when I was 20 is that you will always make time for the people you want to be around. And this is a hard pill to swallow for some people. Not everybody wants to be around you, and that's okay. But when people make time for you, please respect that, and also respect yourself, so that you know that, like, the time that you're spending with people or doing things with people, it's valuable. Time is money, guys. do not waste your time on things that are not enriching for you. Sounds harsh, but it's the truth. All right. Going into the 23rd thing I wish I knew when I was 20. Your favorite person is always has to start with you. Yes, you can have other favorite people, hence best friends, hence life partners, hence whatever, your God, your Gandhi, whatever it is. But your favorite person has to be you first. It cannot be either or. It has to be you as a person, because you know who you are. Well, if you still figuring that out, that's cool too. But your favorite person always has to start with you. And that goes into me saying I prefer to be respected than liked, because I like myself first. Thank you. Okay, cool. Going into the two last points of things that I wish I knew when I was 20. The 24th thing I wish I knew when I was 20 is that you need to look after your mind, body, and spirit. That is so important. When you're young, having fun, it's all great. You can abuse it, you can do whatever, because you'll just recover miraculously so quickly, for those who are blessed with good health. But please look after yourself, because your body, the moment you turn 30, when you start hearing the cracks and the creaks, it's a real thing, you guys. It's a real thing, because it'll definitely humble you in reflecting back on oh my gosh, when I was 20, I could have done things a little differently and a little better, but that's okay too. So look after your mind, body, and spirit, guys. And you guys, going into the last thing I wish I knew when I was 20 is that your journey is different. Not everybody's journey is the same. And you cannot be living your life vicariously through others, and others cannot vicariously live through you. You need to live for you, and you need to go on your own journey, because everybody's story is different. Everybody's life is different. You cannot be living for others. You have to live for you. And I know it's easier said than done. And I know it's not as clear cut as that, especially people who have children or are looking after other people and actually are in situations where they do have to look out for others. But what I'm saying with that is that you mustn't forget about yourself, because what you're going through is completely different for who you are supporting or enriching, because your journey is different and their journey is going to be different too. And those are the 25 things that I wanted to start with that I wish I knew when I was 20. If you guys want to have a part 2, please do let me know. But yeah, thanks everybody. With that being said, you guys, go with God and see you soon in the next episode. Ciao!